Hi, I'm Rick Rheins, Senior Rabbi, Temple Sinai in Denver, Colorado. This week's Torah portion is Ekev. It comes from chapter 7 through 11 of the book of Deuteronomy. And Moses is in the midst of a series of speeches that he's giving to the children of Israel, right as they are on the border of the Promised Land, on the border of Eretz Israel. Now, this group, 40 years after the Exodus from Egypt, is that new generation. And so Moses is using his final orations as an opportunity to review all of the experiences, all of the events that have come through these 40 years, some before they were actually born and some that they experienced themselves. And he's using this in order to instruct our ancestors as to how they will find the spiritual and social and, yes, intellectual wherewithal to prosper in the generations to come. So he gives them specific lessons by going through some events that were great successes as to why we had this great success. And God found a way to help us in these most dire of circumstances, and we were able to survive. And sometimes we had some very difficult experiences, including he reviews the golden calf incident. And so there were some in his lessons, some of the positive experiences, some of the negative experiences, saying you have to learn from them. We learn from our mistakes, we learn from our defeats. And so he's teaching this new generation. This is the second in the series of speeches that he's going to give as he's 120 years old, and he's preparing that next generation. So in this oration, he specifically wants to focus on the fact that there will come a time in which there's such prosperity that you will, as he writes it, ram levavecha, you'll grow haughty in your heart. You'll think, oh, look how clever and smart and worthy I am that we were able to achieve all of these great things. He said, it wasn't you. Don't ever forget that it was God who gave you these blessings. Don't lose your spiritual strength. Don't think that it's the material that is your real blessing. It's not. It's that which can never be taken from you. Your sense of values, your faith, the ethics, the things that draw us to the living a life of mitzvot, of gimilut chasadim, of loving kindness, of tzedakah, of justice and charity. These are the things that can never be taken from you because these are the values in your heart. Don't think that it's the material that will be your blessing. It's your spirit that is your blessing. And in chapter 8, there are two specific passages. And one is, he reminds us, Moses reminds us that, you know what? God tested you with all kinds of hardships. There were times in which you didn't have enough to eat. And there were times in which you had terrible circumstances. You're in the middle of the wilderness. You had nothing. And you didn't know how you're even going to survive, to find enough to eat. And it says God provided in that most dire of circumstance, manna mishamayim, manna from heaven. Now, what's manna? It literally is called manhu in the Torah because it's whatchamacallit. We don't really know what it was. It's something that they ate that was able to, that they were able to find nourishment to persevere in the wilderness. And he said, don't forget that you had this blessing. And the line is, Lema'an hodiacha ki lo al halechem levado yichyeh adam, that you had these experiences so that you will learn that it is not by bread alone that you will live, but rather by all the goodness that God has provided for you. Have an awareness that the blessings are around you and that they will come to you. But you have to know that it's not just that material goodness, it's the blessings that God has provided. And then finally, it says, once you've had enough to eat, then express your gratitude. Don't put it on yourself that, oh, look what I did and how deserving I was and how worthy I am, how important I am, how brilliant I am. No, it's not you. God has given us this. And so it says, Va'achalta v'savata uvarachta et Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz asher hatova natan lach. When you have eaten and you are satisfied, then uvarachta, then share blessings, give blessings and appreciation and gratitude to God who has given this and all the good land and all the opportunities that you have. Express this thanksgiving. And indeed, it is that line, Va'achalta v'savata uvarachta et Adonai, that you shall eat and be satisfied and give blessings to God of gratitude, that we have the Birkat Hamazon, that we have the grace after meals, that we eat and don't think only about how yummy it was. Yeah, okay, it was yummy, it's wonderful. But it's not just the yummy. It's the fact that you have enough to sustain yourself, that you have whatever circumstances we've gone through, we have this blessing of food and drink and perhaps company and family that enrich our lives. And it also then makes us aware that there are other people in our community who are not so fortunate. And don't look at them and say, look, they didn't pull themselves up by the bootstraps and they did, what did they not do that I did? How come they are suffering and I have so much? It's not because I am worthy and they are people who deserve the suffering. No one deserves suffering. Rather, it should move your heart to say, I have enough and I'm satisfied. And by goodness, I most certainly will make sure that everyone else, to the best of my ability, will also have enough food, enough shelter, enough clothing, enough security. That's the tzedakah. So in this week's Torah portion, again, Moses is making sure that that next generation, which will come into the promised land, the land of flowing with milk and honey, and it'll be a wonderful new land, will be back in the land of our ancestors, the land that was promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. You will be there and you will prosper, but never harden your heart, never grow haughty in your heart. Rather, share with gratitude and always remember that the blessings that we have are spiritual, are social, are a part of our life essence, not the things that we own, but the things that we share and celebrate together. Shabbat Shalom.